right. Good morning, Noah. It's Joe
Morning,
Callahan.
Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk a mile with Noah Zacharin this morning. How you doing? Late night late night, I hear.
Yeah, I was late-ish. I'm familiar with the late night drives. I like driving at night, and when I'm where I am, take care of what I have to take care of, and then I leave. So last night I was playing some music, and I stayed till the end, and I drove home, and it's good nighttime drive. It's good for the soul. Got that
Yeah,
off
yeah,
me.
yeah. It reminds me of a song by Garner Rogers. You know, I don't know if you know that.
Which one?
I think it's called Night Drive.
Oh,
So listen, you're going to be performing in Calgary on March the 3rd. Have I got that right?
you do not.
I
It's
do
March
not.
7th
March the 7th.
at
And
the
where are you
the
playing?
Ironwood.
Where are you playing?
At the Ironwood.
At the Ironwood. Have you been there before?
I've been there twice.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I like the. It's I actually not sure that I've been to the new location. I understand they moved recently, somewhat recently. But I always love being there. I love Patrick, and so it'll be a good time.
Yeah. Well, presumably you're going to be doing songs from your latest recording.
Yep,
Yeah, which is your ninth. Is that right?
that's yes. It's the ninth solo CD that I've done. Points of Light, and I'll do tunes from there. I'll do tunes from some of the older records as well because they seem to endure for me. And I'm working on a record of cover tunes.
Oh,
So I've always played covers, and so of course I'll be doing some of those as well. Some of my favorites.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I want to talk more about that because I too like to perform covers because I just think it's so important. But I've done a little research on a bit of what you've done. You have your first CD was 1998. Am I right?
My first, yes, it was a reissue actually of an LP that I put out in '82.
Oh, no kidding! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't kid
Online.
about that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
And
Um,
then yeah, the second one came out on cassette.
oh
I was way
yes.
ahead, I was ahead of my time. Yeah, so coming in '91, and then those were both reissued on CD
On CD, yeah.
in the '80s.
And you from your website you started to devote your career to music full time in 2015.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it begs the question: what else were you doing besides music?
Well, I don't like to talk about it too much. The listeners who are interested can find everything
Okay.
on the
Okay.
internet. No, I was a professional, a health professional,
Yeah.
and I worked in the field for many years. And
Yeah. Well, just
you
just
know,
say what you feel comfortable saying. I'm not I'm not probing and prying. I'm just it
yeah,
just begs the
it's. I
question.
mean, it's information off public record, and I'm not ashamed. I was a dentist, but it's just that it's
Oh
so
yeah.
at
Okay.
odds with anything that I have ever felt or expressed or been.
Sure.
And I never stopped playing music. I never worked full time uh, anything other than thinking about songs and thinking about poems. And through my schooling, I always performed. I made my first record in my first clinical year.
Right.
So I don't know how I got the energy or the focus to do it, but I did that. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, presumably it has informed your art.
it has helped my art. There from a it's helped my art in practical ways. It there are there's at least one in Bed of Nails. There's a one of the lines is he sails up and down a ragged shore. Sure, his drowned child is not really dead, and I got that from a story. Like one of my patients was sitting in front of me, and he told me that he does this every summer. His child died, drowned,
Yeah.
and every year he goes back and he goes up and down the shore. So I took it from him, and it
Right.
was it worked out. So you work with people, you see things, you
Of course.
learn
Yeah.
about them. And
Well, stories, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's an important story that audiences, when they listen, will respond to, right? I mean,
yeah,
it comes from the real world, I guess. Eh?
yeah. Which is that's a component of what we work with. You speak in the collective because you're also a songwriter, of repute. Um, work both with real things and also with how we reimagine them. And
Sure,
goes on
sure.
in our brains.
So bed of
Mhm.
nails, is there a line in there about staring up at the sky or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, forest, fireflies, falling stars, and fire, falling stars and fireflies say it's all right.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess it, I need to say this. I just love your stuff. I'm knocked out by it. And I don't say that to very many people.
Thank you.
I love your poetry, your guitar work, your vocals. I mean, I love the whole package, right? And I'm sure people have said this to you before. How come you're not a household name?
Well, to be quite candid, yes, I have heard that before. And like part of it's mysterious. I don't know if we want to get into a real discussion about it, but it's a good discussion to have, at a table with a couple of beers. Um, I have to take responsibility for some of that, just in the way I've managed my work as an artist, and some of it is just that's the way it goes, and like I've had a number of close calls for good things, and whatever I did, and however the universe is shaping up. I mean, all of that notwithstanding, I feel so grateful and you know frankly a bit surprised that I still pick up a guitar after playing for so many years, and I still find chords I never played before, and that the music still reveals itself to me to be infinite and it's the only playground that I know I can go to and have a good time regardless of anything else that's going on around me.
That's a nice
So,
metaphor, a musical, the playground, right?
oh yeah, yeah, I love it. And I don't want to wax too long at this because the truth is I walk very fast. So if you wanted to walk a mile with me, it would actually be probably a 15-minute thing. I don't have. I'm not that tall, but I just seem to. I'm all leg, and I just want to walk quickly. I always have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
So yeah,
Well.
and I mean, honestly, we could talk about it, and then I mean, at some point, I just stopped thinking about it because I kept hearing it, and I don't have an answer,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Of course.
just,
Well,
you know,
to a certain extent, it doesn't really matter at all, does it? Right?
no,
It doesn't shape
no,
what you do next musically. It's just. I mean, it's the commercial thing versus the artistic thing, right? And so, obviously, I would suggest that you live for the opportunity to create musically. I mean, that's your purpose, right?
yeah. I mean, I'm actually, well, I'm certainly being directed to that. It's clear that more of, more satisfaction. There's more satisfaction in sitting down and writing something than in waiting for something to happen commercially. You mentioned it before we started speaking about respect of our peers. I made a conscious decision when I started playing when I was 10 years old. So for better or worse, that was one of the one of the objectives I had was I wanted the respect of my peers.
Mm.
I wanted to have peers. I wanted to have a community of people, and I never really thought about the audience size, or saying things that might make them feel comfortable rather than provoking them to discomfort, which is what I've done in performance or whatever. It's like I didn't have a focus on that, and I can't really fault myself for it because I was 10, I was 11, 12 years old, and a lot of the people that I admired were way under the radar.
Yeah.
But I love their devotion to their work.
Right.
And I'm sure that if I had spoken to them, they would have said, yeah, but I'd really like to sell more records, or I'd like to have bigger audiences. And, but it wasn't clear to me at the time that was anything to prioritize.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's helpful. Like, I mean, I don't know how long you want me to go on about this,
Yeah, no,
but
no, it's
but
it's good. I mean, the purpose of an interview like this is to give people a sense of who you are as a person outside
yeah,
of being a musician, right? So,
okay.
it's all good. It
You have good editing skills.
I wouldn't say that necessarily, but
Yeah.
I mean, for me, just to draw a comparison, I made a conscious decision not to do music. I played in a band for like 11 years and made a conscious decision. Started at 13, so and made a conscious decision to not make music my career at that time because
Mhm.
I just felt that I didn't have a lot of respect for the club owners and the ways of making money to make a living at that point. Now, in retrospect, would I have changed? Would I have changed my mind? Well, yeah, having met some of the managers that I've met over the years, if I had met those managers back then, I might have made a different decision. But so what? Really,
Yeah, yeah,
here we are. So I I I took the time to watch a few of your videos, and and sadly I haven't seen you perform live. So um, and I would like to, but I'm not likely to get to Calgary.
yeah.
Um,
I
um,
hope I get there.
and
So,
what a great sense of connection I saw when I watched you. I think it was a showcase that you were doing somewhere, um, and maybe just comment on that the headspace that you get into when you're performing.
in some ways, I feel like when I'm a performer, there's a guy that inhabits my body and takes over and manages the quips and the segues. Um, like many people who make art, I'm, I'm quite content to be by myself. Right now, I'm back home and I'm looking at the trees and the blue sky, and I feed the blue jays. I have to go give another handful of peanuts. So being on stage, I do it in the service of the songs.
Uh,
Um, I do it because, like, I don't know what else I would do. I don't
mm,
have a herd of cow to raise.
right.
Um, and I love the connection. And I think one of the main things that I've been learning, particularly since I moved here about 3 years ago, is how vital communication is for me. I've turned
Mm,
into a guy who has long phone calls with my friends,
mm,
and I think a lot of us learned that through COVID. That, and I developed intimate relationships with people uh, by speaking with them on a regular basis, where I would see them occasionally and we'd have quick conversations, but being forced to speak on the phone, really changed the nature of the relationship.
right.
So I'm aware of it, and I talk to the birds, and I talk to myself, I talk to God, I talk to my instruments. Um, but it's obvious, I'm trying to communicate something, and I've been learning how important that is. Like, I have a lot of writing that has never been heard, a lot of songs and pieces of songs that have never been heard, and there was a time in my life when I just felt reassured that I had written all this stuff and I could look at my notebooks.
Yeah,
But
right.
but it's so evident to me now how important it is to let somebody else see it.
Right,
So
right. To
so I've been
share
doing
it.
quite a lot
Yeah.
of work, getting old material,
Yeah,
finishing
sharing
it
it, I
up.
think, eh? No, is that like it's really about sharing it?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's it's for better or worse. I mean, this is my community, and I moved away from Toronto, and I lived in Toronto for several decades, and lived in Montreal and before that. And I tell people that I really only two things I miss about Toronto, and one is Garbage Day Eve, when go around and collect whatever people deem unnecessary to their lives anymore. And we've all picked up great stuff. A buddy of mine told me he found a Marshall amp in the garbage. So
Oh boy. Wow.
so I miss that, and I miss my friends. I miss
Yeah.
my peers and my music friends, and I miss just because during the COVID thing there wasn't a lot
Right.
going on, and that was one of the
Right.
reasons why I decided to move. It wasn't the only reason I decided to move out, but there was a sense of clearly I was not useful anymore.
Yeah.
And so I've been going back on a fairly regular basis just through the winter,
Right.
and it's so reassuring to 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 see the revival of live music. And going out to
Right.
groceries with my pals,
Right.
drinking pitchers of beer with them, and hearing music loud,
Yep.
and just and seeing that people are interested and it hasn't disappeared, and they still want to hear it. So
Yeah.
I love the connection. I love writing. I love playing guitar by myself. I really love the connection, and I like making a difference, however
Sure.
small it is,
Sure.
and however I find out about it, and however I'm recompensed. If it's just by a smile, that's fantastic, and
Sure.
buy a record, or hire me for something. But
So
any of those are great.
so I think when we were texting, I drew a comparison between your music and Bruce Coburn. I don't know anybody that plays as well as you do, other than Bruce Coburn. Maybe I know play and sing. I guess I should say, not just play.
Thank
I
you.
mean, there's lots of people who play guitar really really well, but they don't necessarily have that complexity in their vocal and the interaction between vocal and guitar the way you do,
Yeah,
and Bruce
thank you.
Coburn. Yeah. But also, I wanted to ask you about a song, "So Much Work to Be Done." And I'm not sure if I read this or if I just inferred. Is that about Guy Clark? Or
It
is
is.
okay? All right. So talk about Guy
Yeah.
Clark. For why is Guy Clark important to you?
Well, Guy Clark was important to me just because of who he was in his community. He may not have been my favorite songwriter, but I loved him. I loved his vibe. I loved his role, and he was a gathering. Him and his wife were gathering. It was a gathering spot for a lot of talent, and I was
Right.
on my way to a jam on a Tuesday night. Um, I have a property near the York River, north of Bancroft, and it's an off-grid cabin, and I'd go there a lot.
Yeah.
Before I moved from Toronto, it was my place of refuge, and to figure things out and swim and try to get healthy. And there was a fellow that used to invite me to a jam at his place, and one day I decided that I could go. I love being alone there and it's quiet. But when I went to the jam, and on the way, I heard about Guy Clark having passed away, and at the same time, I can't remember specifically who, but I think Jesse Winchester passed away around the same time, and there were a couple of other people.
Hmm.
And it was beginning to become wearisome, to hear about the loss of all,
Yep.
another figure, because for better or worse, I'm not keeping up with what's contemporary, and I find it hard to imagine that anybody's going to replace the people that we grew, like John Martin. When John Martin passed away,
Yep.
that killed me because he was a huge vibey influence for me when I was growing up, like 14, 15 years old. Those first records on Island,
Yep.
and they still stand up. They're just amazing records. And I saw a version of him doing a song he wrote for Nick Drake, Solid Air. And he did like just that. You've seen that
That's a great
duo
song.
version with him and Danny Thompson.
It's just such a great song. Yeah.
Oh shit! And he sings it like an old man, an old broken man, and it's just
Yeah.
so those people really shone for me through all my life. And so I got to the jam, and at the end of the jam, I looked at my friend Dave, and I said, "Dave, Guy Clark's gone, and there's so much work to be done." And as I tell people on stage,
Yeah.
you say, like, sometimes something comes out, and I just said, "Oh shit, I got to go home. I got to go write a song.
Gotta
Gotta
write
go,
that.
gotta
Yeah.
go, Dave."
I love it. I
And
love the song.
yeah, so I went home, and pretty well it all happened. Like I had a bottle of Jack Daniels that I'd saved from this I'd left over winter, and was trying to control my consumption. And I wasn't sure if there'd be alcohol left in it because I thought maybe it evaporated over the winter. And so it's all really very straightforward. but it was a beautiful coming together of details, and I get to reference my guitar, which she's from Texas. It's a Collings guitar.
Yeah. So I also saw that Collings is kind of supporting your work, eh? That's great.
Yeah,
That's nice.
right.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and yeah,
It
it's
all
beautiful.
helps.
I mean, it's a nice, it's a nice combination, like them and me and them, and I got to play this song in Texas.
Nice.
And,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Yeah,
So,
nice. Well, I hate to say this, but we're almost at the end of our mile here.
yeah,
Um,
slow down, I guess.
yeah. So Calgary, March the 7th, and you're going to be playing from Points of Light, which is an amazing collection of songs. Thank you
Thank you.
for doing them.
Thank you.
Thanks for making some time for me this morning. I know you got home at 3 o'clock last night, and this is
It's okay. It's what I do.
it's part of the process.
Yeah.
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 So no, I'm gonna stop tape. I'm gonna stop recording,
Okay.
but we can talk for a few minutes if you have some time.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop now.